everybody, Stephen Key here, and I have a very, very special guest today. Richard Levy is a famous toy inventor all the way from Florida. He's here to join us and talk a little bit about the toy industry. So, Richard, thank you very much for coming on.
Anything for you, Stephen.
You're so kind. Hey, Richard, let's jump in here. You've been in the toy industry for how many years?
40 something. I don't want to go beyond 40, but 41, 42, somewhere in there.
You know, and you've had some major hits. You've licensed over 100 toy inventions?
Let me make it clear. I have many more scars than medals.
Well, wait a minute. I know that. I know there's a lot of rejection in every industry. Do you think there's more rejection than the toy industry if you're submitting ideas?
There probably is, because they're open to more ideas than most industries.
Okay.
It's really one of the last frontiers for the entrepreneur, if you know what I mean.
Okay. So the toy industry typically has been working with freelance toy inventors such as yourself for a long time.
Yeah, if you look, I have a book called The Toy and Game Inventor's Handbook, and the first 3 pages of the book are products. And then, of course, there's a quiz, and the quiz is which companies created these products? And the answer is none. They all came from independent inventors around the world. And now some of these independent inventors spun them into toy companies.
Okay.
But the point is, most of these products come from the outside. That's taking nothing away from the entrepreneurs at the companies. Without them, we're nowhere. Okay. But it's
So let's talk about this book before we move on, because you've got a book that's been selling for quite a few years that tells you exactly what to do if you want to be a toy inventor. Is that correct?
Yes, it's called The Toy and Game Inventor's Handbook. It's only available via Amazon as a download, because they do 80% of the ebooks, and what's the point of going anywhere else?
Okay, great. So James, he's going to put that up on the screen, and there'll be some information down below for you guys can find it, because if you want to be in the toy industry, you have to buy this book. Okay, let's move on. Richard, I was at the Smithsonian, the Limbelson Center. That's where it houses all the great inventions over the years. And guess what I saw in there?
The beloved creature.
And what is that creature?
Furby.
Wow, I was so impressed to see that. Congratulations. That was very cool to see that.
Thank you.
That was a major hit for you. How many did you sell?
We're probably north of 75 million of them now, somewhere in there.
How does that feel to sell that many products and kids are just loving it?
I got to tell you something. It's a wonderful feeling, but when it was happening, as it started to take off, we were so busy working on it that we didn't really focus. Do you know what I'm trying to say? We didn't really focus on it. And Hasbro has a major global footprint, and they're, they get it everywhere. It's in like 15 different languages.
Wow.
And it's been a wonderful trip. I don't think about it too much. I mean, I'm grateful for it, but there's other products to be done.
Well, let's talk about the other products for just a minute. You had mentioned that is a game of rejection, correct? You're going to get rejected a lot. How do you stay in it long enough to keep winning? How do you do it?
Well, first of all, when you say the word rejection, to me, the word no simply means not now.
Okay.
Unless someone shows me a fatal flaw in what I'm presenting, I don't look at it as, I call them Pasadenas. I call them Pasadenas. I make a joke out of it. What's the difference? You just keep moving.
Okay. How do you build those solid relationships with those companies so they keep those doors open? Is it just your work or your reputation? How do you do that?
I think it's like any personal relationship. I've taught my daughter over the years, it's know how and know who.
Okay.
And you go to trade shows, you visit the companies, you build relationships, because in the end, or in the beginning, you're really selling yourself first, Stephen. You know that.
Okay.
It's about you, and it doesn't matter how many ideas they'll reject. By the way, you asked me how I keep going, right?
Yes.
Read my hat.
Never give up, never grow up. Okay. All right. So
that's my motto.
So you're a kid at heart.
Absolutely.
So are you doing this for the money, or are you doing this because you love it?
I've never done anything in my life for money. I've always done everything I've done was for the love, the passion of it, the challenge of it.
Okay.
And the money comes or the money doesn't come. But
Okay.
I've never done it for the money.
It's the wrong reason, isn't it?
You come up short. It's a cliche, but you'll come up shortchanged.
Okay. So you told me that rejection is it's really not a rejection. It's just a no for now. You told me also build relationships, go to trade shows, and have a good work ethic. Is that part of it too?
It's yes, it's a huge work ethic, and also do your homework. Don't be representing the wheel every time you go in there. You got to realize the value of the executive's time at the other end.
Okay.
You have to respect their time, and
So you've got to have good marketing material when you go in there. Is it a sell sheet, a prototype, a video? What's the best tool to have?
Every concept we have, I will do a patent search on.
Okay.
Not so much can I protect it, but am I going to infringe? Has it been done before? I want to know the landscape, and it's worth the money to do it.
Okay.
And then when I go in, I can say I've done a patent search and here's the results. And of course, it all depends on the product, but I'm giving you a generality.
Okay.
A generality. And then you try to build, generally you go for looks like, works like prototypes.
Okay.
So people can see what they're like. But the toy industry today is depending more and more every year on entertainment licenses.
Okay.
So let's just say Jurassic Park. I'm giving you an example. It could be any movie, whatever, Star Wars. So, so they're looking to fill slots under those licenses.
Okay.
And that's a whole different scene than going in with something unique where they're digging out of a hole trying to establish your product.
So they're trying to take away a little bit of risk. But
they are trying to take, they're trying to take some risk away, and so is the retailer.
Okay, that makes sense. So do you gear your product submissions around those properties? Do you submit it that way?
I do when it comes to games.
Okay.
When it comes to games, I try to go with something that has brand equity.
Got it.
Like I did Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus was a big hit with Mattel.
Okay.
Chicken Soup for the Soul. Richard Petty Racing Trivia. I could Warner Brothers Trivia. I could go on, but on the game shelf, a brand is really, really important.
Okay.
Really important.
Richard, have you made a lot of money?
I've done fine. Okay. I don't know. I don't follow them. To be honest with you, I just keep, my wife's the chief financial officer and the chief operating officer.
So is mine.
She handles all that. Don't ask me about money because ich weiß nicht.
So is mine. What is it about that? I want to be.
They're brilliant.
I want to be a kid still. Is that part of it? Let them.
All I want to do is do what I do, and she handles the rest of it.
Because you travel a lot, Richard. I mean, you're all over the world, so you must be doing pretty darn good at this.
Yeah. Well, I've traveled since I was a very young child. My grandmother, who was European, came to America and did pretty well. And she would take me to Europe with her over the summers and put me in schools and stuff. And she took me aside one day and she said, when I die, I probably won't leave you a dime, but I can leave you educated.
Okay. Well, okay. So I want to talk a little bit more about if someone's just starting out and wants to be a toy inventor, should that person go work for a toy company first? What should they do? I know they're going to read your book.
I don't think that's necessary. I mean, if you come out of school and you're an industrial designer or whatever, I mean, you want to go to work for a toy company, of course. But if you're just an ordinary person with ideas, the mother of all ideas, you think you have and everything else, then what you want to do, a couple of things. One, stay away from invention marketing companies. I have a motto. It's in my book. An ad means bad.
An ad means bad. Okay.
People that are trolling for inventors and asking for upfront money and whatever.
Got it.
So you say, well, where do I do? How do I go if I don't have an agent, if I don't have someone? Well, these big toy companies, they work with agents and brokers who typically take 50%, but that's fair. It's not a problem. But when you go to Hasbro and you go to Mattel, and you say to them, with whom do you work? Can you recommend some agents? We have agents in my book, actually.
Okay.
The point is, if you go to them, then you see how it works, but you know they can get through the door.
Got it.
The people that are advertising on television, on the internet, whatever, millions of ideas are coming in. Look, what I do for a living, the modus operandi of what I do is appropriate to lots of different industries for marketing of inventions.
Okay.
Creativity is something that it's like trying to define creativity is like shoveling smoke.
Okay.
Forget trying to define it. But the marketing part of it is a special skill. Okay. The sales and marketing is a special skill. And you want somebody associated with you who focuses on the toy industry. I'll tell you something. I don't have the contacts in industries outside of toys. I've put all my time into toys. So I'm really good at toys and games and entertainment properties. But
Richard, today it seems like things have changed a little bit because of social media. It seems like some of these toy companies have opened their doors a little bit more now. Do you have, it's gotten easier, hasn't it?
Well, not any easier. But what they've done is, yes, they've opened their doors, but they're also scouting the internet. For example, they're going to Kickstarter.
Got it.
They're going to go, like the game Pie Face. When Hasbro licensed Pie Face, I think it was done by an independent person, and they had like 8 million views.
All right. Okay.
On the internet. And that, by the way, that brought up a new term for games called shareable.
Oh.
It didn't exist before. What's a shareable game? A shareable game is one that the kids are going to want to, the players are going to want to take out their cameras, take out their iPhones, and take a picture of you making a fool of yourself.
Well, you know what's crazy about this sharing? I was at Toy Fair a couple years ago, and I was able to get into all the big showrooms. And I asked if I could film, if I could videotape, and if I could share it. And they all said yes. That's a fairly new thing too, isn't it?
Totally new. But that happens more when you were at Toy Show, you were at the Javits Center.
Yes.
So pretty much everything is open anyway. Okay. There are some closed booths, but pretty much
this was
open.
At the Hasbro. It wasn't at the Javits. It's off.
Oh, you were at the New York Times building.
I couldn't believe they were so...
Well, I'll tell you why. Let me tell you why. Because everything you're seeing there is already in public view. They've got the media coming in.
Okay.
Behind the scenes in that building, there are rooms that you won't go into to film.
Got it. Now, and I had a media badge too, so they were...
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you had a media or not. The point is there are closed rooms for buyers for products that they don't want out yet.
Got it. Okay, that makes perfect sense. So I'm starting out. I'm a young person. I want to be in the toy industry. Hopefully I've got some education maybe. I've read your book. I don't necessarily have to work for a toy company, but just have good ideas and be persistent, be professional.
Be honest.
Honest.
Be honest. Look, every garden needs a little fertilizer, but be honest. Because I'll tell you something. If you don't point out the problem that you see with your product, whatever it is, and they find it, you could crash and burn.
Okay.
So just be upfront on everything.
Got it. So how many ideas do you typically generate in a year?
It's hard to say. I mean, and I work with a small group of very trusted allies, friends. We throw stuff back and forth. It's hard to say. I've never kept track of it, honestly, but I have a very high placement rate.
Okay. I mean, is it 1,000 ideas? 100 ideas?
No. As I travel, I look, I see things, I make notes. I've never kept track of how many ideas. I've never kept track of the hits, the losses. I just keep going. I just love to look. I don't like weekends because the companies are closed.
I love this. God, we're so alike. Okay, you're going to do this forever. Why retire? Why
I don't know what the word. I don't know what the word means. There's no need to.
All right.
As long as there are companies out there willing to license.
This is too much fun.
You're the best.
Richard, thank you very much for sharing all this information. Everyone, buy Richard's book. Check him out. He knows what he's doing. He's the real deal. Richard, anything else?
God bless you and have a great Memorial Day weekend.
Thank you.